I used to believe that staying loyal would eventually earn me love. Not the flashy, showy kind, but the quiet, steady kind. A proud smile. A hand resting on my shoulder. A simple, "We're proud of you." But growing up in my family, that kind of affection was reserved for my older brother, Ryan. He was the one they bragged about. The golden child. The one who could do no wrong, even when he clearly did. When he landed a job, they hosted a dinner in his honor. When I got promoted, they didn't even pick up the phone. He bought a grill and it became a neighborhood gathering. I bought my first car, and all I got was a nod. Still, I kept swallowing the hurt. Told myself that love doesn't always feel fair, but it can still be real. I carried that belief like a chipped mirror into adulthood, reflecting fragments, never the whole image. And then I met Ava. With her, I didn't need to perform. She saw me, really saw me. Every wound I had learned to hide, every silence I'd gotten used to. The parts of me that had grown comfortable in the background. When she said yes to marrying me, I felt something shift. A long-buried part of me stirred, still hoping that maybe, just maybe, my parents might finally look at me the way they always looked at Ryan. At first, they played the part. We had dinner. They smiled, nodded along as we talked about the wedding. My father even dropped the name of a caterer. For a brief moment, I thought they might show up for me, for once. But the cracks came quickly. My mom forgot the date, twice. My dad sighed about the drive like it was across continents instead of a couple hours down the freeway. But I let it slide. I always did. Then Ryan made his grand announcement over lunch one afternoon. "Massive cookout at my place this weekend," he said with a grin. "Games, food trucks, music, the works." It was the same weekend as my wedding. No one said a word about the conflict. No concern. No raised eyebrows. I tried to convince myself it was just poor timing. That someone would speak up. 2 weeks before the ceremony, I called to confirm the guest list. My mother's voice was cool, emotionless. "We won't be able to come, sweetheart. We already promised Ryan we'd help." That sentence hit me like a blow to the chest. No apology. No pause. Just scheduling. I didn't argue. Just ended the call and sat in silence, staring at the wall as her words echoed over and over in my head. That night, I tried my father. Hoping, foolishly, that maybe he'd understand. Maybe he'd care enough to try. All he said was, "Don't take it personally." But I did. Because it was personal. It always had been. I couldn't sleep that night. My mind kept spinning through every memory I'd buried. Missed birthdays. School performances they never attended. Empty chairs in every crowd. And now they were skipping my wedding. Not because of a tragedy. Not because of some emergency. But for burgers and lawn games in Ryan's backyard. The days leading up to the ceremony were a haze. I smiled for the photos. I gave my friends scripted answers when they asked about my family. I acted like it didn't matter. But it did. The night before the rehearsal dinner, Ava found me on the kitchen floor, back against the fridge, eyes puffy. She sat beside me, took my hand, and said something simple, but profound. "We don't need the kind of love they offer. We'll build something better." And she was right. Our wedding was everything I had never dared to dream. The sky turned to gold as we read our vows. Her family cried like they had known me my whole life. I walked down that aisle alone. No arm to lean on. No father at my side. And yet, I stood taller than I ever had. That moment changed everything. Not out of anger. Not even sorrow. Just pure clarity. I no longer needed to prove anything. I didn't want revenge. I just wanted them to feel what it's like to be excluded from a life they could have shared, if they had only chosen to. So I stopped reaching out. No texts. No updates. No photos. No guilt trips. They didn't lose me in a fight. They lost me in quiet. Months passed, and Ava and I found our rhythm. Lazy mornings with coffee on the porch. Road trips without maps. I painted while she read. Her parents called often, just to hear how I was. That alone felt like a miracle. Then one day, what began as a side dream took shape. A gallery. A space to showcase emerging artists. Ava handled the logistics. I painted and curated. We stripped the walls, stained the floors, built it from the bones up with our own hands. It wasn't just a business. It was a new chapter. A few weeks before the opening, Ava asked gently, "Do you want to invite them?" I paused, but eventually, I sent one invitation. No note. Just the details. They came. Late. Dressed like they weren't sure if they belonged. My name was written across the wall in gold. Jason Ellis, founder and lead artist. I saw my mother freeze when she saw it. My father stared, blinking. They walked through the exhibit like strangers. Eventually, they approached. "This is stunning," my mother said. "We didn't realize," my father added. "If we had known, we would have come earlier." I looked at them for a long moment. Then I said calmly, "I figured Ryan's cookout was more your style." No anger. Just truth. They didn't respond. And I didn't offer comfort. That night, I stood surrounded by people who had chosen me. Friends. Artists. Mentors. Ava's family. People who had shown up. My parents lingered at the edge, watching a life they never helped build. As they were leaving, my mother reached out again. "Maybe we could catch up sometime. Just dinner." I gave a polite nod. "Maybe. But I'm busy. I've got a lot to create." And I meant every word. They hadn't just missed my wedding. They missed the one son who needed them most. And by the time they realized what they'd lost, I had already moved on.